I'm Loree Hendrickson. I was born here in Shickley and left after high school and just came back about 10 years ago. I grew up west of town on a farm. From Shickley to Badong, and from maybe a couple miles north of Davenport to about 4 or 5 miles north of Highway 74. That whole area was founded by Swedes. That's when the Stockholm Church was built in 1875, so it predates both Shickley and Ulm. My family came here in 1879, so there's been a Hendrickson in Shickley before there was a Shickley. And all of my great-grandparents came separately, but in America. My great-great-grandparents lived in a sod house on our farm. Great-grandparents built the frame house that my brother and I were kids in, and so his kids were the 6th generation. My dad was one of 7 kids who grew up in that house, and they grew up in the Depression. 7 kids, all 2 years apart. He was smack dab in the middle, number 4. So when the oldest one was 12, the youngest one was a baby. And he said we never got invited anywhere because it was a Depression, and that was 9 mouths to feed. So they were never invited to anybody's house for dinner or anything like that. Because that's how life was then. I came here from kindergarten to 12th grade. Back then the classes were bigger. There were 20, I graduated with 23 others. Brian Alfs of Alswalding was in my class. There were 13 boys and 12 girls, so he was the tallest, so he had to walk alone. The rest of us paired off, boy, girl, boy, girl. At graduation, the FFA program then started in 8th grade, when I was in 8th grade. Doug Dowdy was the first FFA president. I have no idea why I remember that. FBLA started when I was a sophomore in high school. I went to UNL. I kind of knew I wasn't going to be able to come back here because there just weren't jobs for young women here for the most part. If you weren't a farmer or didn't own your own business, there just really wasn't much to do here. So I went into business education. I had intended to be a business teacher, but when I got out, I thought, I'm not sure I want to be in a classroom. So I started in a law firm. In college, I did an internship in Washington, D.C. So I worked for 4 years in this law firm, moved to Washington, D.C., spent 3 years in an aerospace company. My signature is on Mars because a piece of equipment that they were building at this aerospace company, everyone got to sign their name on it, and it went on the Mars Range Rover. Then I moved back to Nebraska to work for Ben Nelson in the governor's office. And the way that came about is Kim Roback was his lieutenant governor, and I had worked for her in the law firm. She somehow saw something in me that said, I think you could be our director of constituent services, which is a big, long title that basically means you handle his mail. And his phone calls were with the complaint department. I had a staff of 3, got to work in the Nebraska State Capitol, gorgeous building. I followed him out to DC and I worked there for 12 years. And then I came back here. I was not intending to stay here, but my mom was sick and I kind of helped take care of her, and by then I had the job at the bank, so I've been here ever since. Omni is something that happened to me when the first time I lived in DC. I was telling them that my cousin, who had grown up in Chicago, loved coming here. He spent summers here, loved coming here. And all these city people were like, why? And I said, well, you can always put a country kid into the city. Rarely can you go the other way. They don't know how to live here. Go from the yard the size of a postage stamp to playing on acres of ground. He got to live every little boy's fantasy of playing on construction equipment and fire trucks, in tractors and combines. We have a pool, we have a thriving Main Street, and we still have our own school. So it's a good place to grow up. Pretty much volunteering. I love volunteering. The Community Foundation was one. And that's because they do great things here in Shickley. They made a lot of community pride, taught me a lot about our community's history and how important it is that we work together and listening to other people's ideas. They elected me second vice chair. Then they decided to move me to treasurer. So I did that for several years. So I know quite a bit about the various funds, what all they helped with, and how the grant program worked. You spend a lot of time with the grants. A specific pool of money you can grant. The requests always surpass the amount of funding we have. What different people wanted and how we decided to pare that down. It was just a fascinating study. And I have to say, Dan Miller was a big part of that because he's really good as a chairman of that committee. The auxiliary is the other one. That's an interesting story because when I moved back, I joined to honor my dad and my uncle's service. My dad was in Korea. His older brother was in World War II, and his younger brother was also in Korea. And that's all I did, just paid my dues. Then when I moved back, my mom thought I should get more involved. Well, these women were phenomenal. Iola Barney at 80 plus, still making 4 dozen deviled eggs for the blood drive. Rosalie Kleinschmidt still leading the way. Lloydine Stengel will do anything you ask her to do. Just a lot of people that really gave 110%. And then I got to be president, and so I had to start going to county and district meetings. Well, once again, I intended to sit in the back, keep my mouth shut, and just listen and get out of the room. And before I knew it, I was doing committees, all kinds of things. And I have to say, again, these women are phenomenal. They will help you with anything, and they become some of my best friends. When I was a kid, Wayne Bussey owned the grocery store. Couldn't have met a nicer human being on the planet. He would do things for us kids. He'd do Christmas. He would just make sure there was always something for us. And whether you walked in the store just to talk or whether you intended to buy a lot of groceries, he didn't care. Phenomenal human being. You see Joe Kimler take a big part of that role now. Dora Jane Winterstein was the school secretary. Dora Jane and Joyce Schlegel at school. Bill Grote and his dad Jerry before him with the ball programs. They ran that for a lot of years. Gene Donlinger ran the softball program for a lot of years. Anyone you see volunteering or assisting someone else in making this community better. Dora Jane used to say, bloom where you're planted, just appreciate your roots. You don't have to move back here, but remember what this community gave you.